What I'm going to do, my part, is to talk to you about how this crisis is not happening for the first time. We can learn from history. We can learn the consequences of this major crisis, what happens afterwards. And the good news is that what happens afterwards is not bad at all. So, long-run economic transformation after the crisis, technology, globalization, and the environment. Because the environment is probably going to be of great importance in terms of how, not just to save the planet, but to save the economy. We are going from mass production to flexible production. It doesn't mean that we're not producing in quantity. Of course we produce in big volumes. But now we can change. We can change the mix. We can change without having the same cost that used to occur before with regular mass production that was very rigid. We're going from closed pyramids to open networks, from stable routines to continuous improvement, and you know what it means to be constantly improving, because otherwise you lose in the competition. From the notion of human resources to the notion of human capital. People no longer enter the production system as if they were raw materials, as resources. They enter as capital, because knowledge has become capital, because it is capable of creating new value, and therefore it is correct to change the name to human capital. We're going from the notion of suppliers and clients, which are far away from us, to value network partners. We now collaborate with our suppliers. We collaborate with our clients. We work together. We innovate together. Going from fixed plans to flexible strategies. And this is super important, because that also has to do with the flexible organization. You've got to be constantly willing to change, because if you don't, you're in danger. So it's a different way of looking at the market and at production. And we're also moving from the classical three-tier markets, big, medium, small, luxury, middle class, and cheap, and so on, to an incredibly kaleidoscopic world for every single product of hyper-segmented markets, niche markets. If you lose a market in one area, if you lose a mass market, you immediately find the niche and you can move within your expertise. So this makes a big difference in terms of how you can change your competitiveness. Then we have the very important change from internationalization to globalization. It used to be that each nation was an economy and we had trade between nations. Now we have a decoupling. The companies are globalized. The countries are not globalized. The countries are actually now, every time, the differences between countries are more important. The differences between regions. So you have to find what Riel was saying. You look out to see the global world, and you look in to see what's special about you. But you don't just look in to see what's special. You actually change your conditions to make yourself more attractive to whatever it is that you want, to your region to play in the global stage. So this understanding of globalization as a combination of the special local and the global company, the company that can move across the world with a good base, is what is now different also. So if you look at the whole set of what used to be normal, and you look at the whole set of what is normal, then you really understand that there has been a radical change in managerial common sense brought on by a different set of enabling technologies through two different periods. The first half sets up the infrastructure and lets the markets pick the winners. The second half reaps the full economic and social potential. We are exactly in the middle between the first and the second half. So this is how a set of technologies, a whole technological revolution, a transforming revolution evolves from the Big Bang when it begins all the way to where it reaches maturity and stops being really wealth creating. The first half is the installation period that ends in a major technology bubble, lasts about 20 to 30 years. And the second half, called deployment, also lasts about 20 to 30 years. What's installation like, that first half? Well, it's a time of Schumpeterian creative destruction. It's when the new replaces and transforms the old. It's a battle of the new paradigm against the old, the new logic, the new common sense. There is a concentration of investment in new tech, and very often a starving of investment in all the other sectors. There is income polarization. The poor get poorer, the rich get richer, and the rich get much, much richer, the poor get much, much poorer, and that creates very difficult social tensions. It is led by financial capital, and it goes from eruption to bubble collapse. That is what we have seen. Now what we have ahead of us is the period of deployment, which is a time of creative construction, when all the things that are there and all the things that had been more or less marginalized start coming together into a much more dynamic and better integrated economy. You have widespread application of the new paradigm for innovation and growth across the economy. So now the financial world should, it isn't yet, but it will perhaps if policies make it so, help the growth of the whole economy no matter what sector you're in. And it's a time of spreading of social benefits. Where are we now? We're at the turning point. At a time when we have recessions, but also institutional recomposition and role shift. That's where we are. And of course, there is always another revolution in gestation that will come and start the cycle all over again.